You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
The heroes are back. Beards talking balls, rapping pink and black. Coming live from the 305, it's official tissue. The Batter Fan, Chris and Dan, weekly rocking with you. We talk Messi, Boosie, Jordi, Lucho, the Fat Four, to Ben Cram, Noah, Ruiz, Fred. What more could you ask for? Tighten up and get ready, listen in on the pod. Solana and X in Espanol, just to even the odds. Breakdowns and gas bagging, join the tribe and just vibe. $3.99, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate, say what's up, go ahead and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get hurt again.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Solana, the Herons are back. Welcome to another episode of the Batter Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, and alongside me is none other than Daniel Solana. What is gravy in the Navy, baby?
It's going good, baby. It's Tuesday. I leave to Uruguay tomorrow. You know, the Herons are essentially undefeated in 2025, and it's you and me going to talk a little bit of football tonight, Chris. So the night couldn't get any better.
Yeah, man, it's going to be great. We're going to get through it. We got a lot of topics here, but just for you guys to know, we do have the Batter MLS podcast tonight at 10. So stick around for that because it's going to be a fun time going through the MLS. But before we get to that, we're going to talk some Herons tonight. And listen, these topics right here are absolutely beautiful. Shout out to Danny putting things together for us in the background. Listen, this is the first topic we're going to get through right here. Jordi Alba fined an undisclosed amount, I believe. I couldn't find the amount anywhere. Apparently, he's going to get fined. I don't know if it's hefty or not. But this is a weird thing, though, Solana. Like, we're getting – I mean, should I bring the video up already?
I mean, let's talk a little bit about him getting fined. So what I heard was it was similar to Suarez and Messi's fines, which – if you look at the history of those types of fines in the MLS, you're talking about hundreds of dollars. You're talking about, these guys probably took out a wad of cash from their pocket, took out a couple hundred bills and just handed it over to Don Garber. That's essentially what happened. But what you're talking about, Chris, the video, I mean, that's the player who really should be the one to get fined. And if you want to bring it up, we can have all the folks in the chat comment as well, right? And before we get the video up, see you later, Esteban Dito. It was nice to see you for 3 minutes.
Well, I'll pull up the video now. I'm going to go ahead and add this. For those of you that are listening on audio, I apologize. But just so you guys know, the video that we're going to play is actually a play that occurred during the game where Jordi Alba was stepped on by a player on Houston named Sebastian Kowalski or Kowalskis.
Pretty sure it's Kovalchik.
Kovalchik. I mean, look, you probably said it a lot better than I did. I'm going to put the video up right here. Let's go ahead and bring that up. I mean, right there, you can be able to see, and we have the sound off. It went really fast, but right here, Jordi Alba is handling the ball. And then as the player approaches him, steps on him with the heel. I mean, you could see that Jordi Alba is trying to sort of grapple, but at the same time, he's not like fighting for the ball. I think he's grappling from falling. And then the guy literally shoves him into the next planet, but no call made. I mean, that is absolutely, absolutely awful. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, that's why I put these on, because obviously Joey Dickerson was wearing these, just like our buddy from last week in the NYCFC game who was wearing these as well and couldn't see anything. So what you're showing on the screen right now, Chris, I can't see a thing. But the chat wanted some glasses. I agree with you that what this guy did, Sebastian Kovalchuk, is worse than what any of the Inter Miami players did, including Ian Frey. Because what Kovalchuk could have done right here could have ended his season if he gets him and steps on him in the right place. Whereas Ian Frey just, casually grabbed this guy's, neck, trying to get the other guy off of him, and he gets a red card and now gets fined. I mean, this is an absolute travesty in the MLS. The disciplinary committee is an absolute travesty. And I'm probably not the only one. I can see the chat is livid as well, but I am livid at these referees. The fact that these referees are still here and the fact that Pro is still in charge of the referees in the MLS, is an absolute travesty.
I mean, look at what Ace is saying here. Ace is saying Kowalski never received a yellow card this whole match. Matheus is saying IM fans in the Discord screaming ref it'll suck, I guess. Amanda is asking, has Frey's red card gotten appealed yet? As far as we know, no, there hasn't been any news on that. And Ruita is asking if they're going to protest the stepped on the foot. And I mean, at this point, there hasn't been anything, as far as I know, in terms of like protests. But that video is god awful. Like literally approached him, was in the middle of pushing him, and then stepping on his foot, looking down at his foot, heel to toe, right? Shoves him into the next world, and nothing happens.
Yeah, and not only that, Chris, but I'm looking at the stats. Inter Miami only had 14 fouls. Houston Dynamo had 24 fouls. Houston Dynamo only got 2 yellow cards. 2 yellow cards. Inter Miami got 5 yellow cards and a red card. I mean, can it be any more one-sided? Can the stats show how one-sided this referee was in this game? It's an absolute joke.
What I think is a joke is the fact that, number one, it hasn't even been spoken about. Number two, this kind of play would have been touched on within the first 24 to 48 hours after the match took place, and there's been nothing. And the person like this, who blatantly pushed and stepped on another player with their heel, cleat through the toe box, there's no rhyme or reason as to why there's been no response at this point.
Do you think, and I don't want to be like one of my, friends, or I guess not friends, but one of my, let's say, associates in the media. I don't want to be like this person and start conspiracy theories, but let's just go down the path just because it's fun to do so. Maybe this referee was upset that Messi didn't go to the game, and because he didn't go to the game, he was like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes so that the Houston Dynamo can try to win this game. And, it just didn't go his way. And he was trying to give the Houston fans maybe, some joy. Obviously, after they ate 4 goals in 50-something minutes, it's not very joyful. But could it have been something that the referee indeed was upset that Messi didn't go, just like the Houston Dynamo fans, and he just decided to take it out on the rest of the team?
It's a weird thing because this referee, as far as from what I've looked at in the past, doesn't have this reputation of being like a very poor referee. So it's kind of weird to be able to see this, but like this guy missed so many calls and made so many blunder calls that, the showing from this referee was astronomically bad. And usually we try not to talk too much in terms of like referee, I guess the outcome because of the referee's actions, but there's just stuff that you can't ignore. And if you're looking at things like Ian Frey pushing on someone and grazing his neck as he pushes him away from being grappled by his jersey, and you're literally a referee that's standing within arm's reach of this happening, it's diabolically bad what's happening.
Absolutely. So, you have to, at least in that position, Chris, being the ref, knowing what's going on, you have to, if you're going to red card Ian Frey, you have to red card the other guy for the Houston Dynamo, because both guys were jostling for position. Ian Frey, to me, looked like he was just trying to get the Houston Dynamo player off of him, and he kind of just, like you said, casually reached over, and yeah, it happened to be his neck. It could have been his shoulder. It could have been his arm. It could have been anything. It just happened to be his neck. As the referee, you need to have, and sorry for saying it this way, but you need to have the cojones to be able to understand the magnitude of that situation and give cards to both players.
Well, and I want to open this up here because Soccer Daddy's saying MLS pundits are silent.
Of course they are.
One thing that I think would be really cool is if they were to have a referee or the head referee do like a 5-minute press conference after the game I think that would be something that would be really, I mean, that's just something I just thought of at the top of my head. I know that, what is it? The NFL or the NBA at some point, they ended up doing something where the referee, like, conglomerate got together and like posted their mistakes online so people could see that there's some sort
the last
of
2-minute report. The last 2-minute report. Yeah.
I think something like that would be phenomenal for pro referees to be able to sort of tackle.
I agree with you, Chris. The only thing is they also have to do something, find them or do something negative towards them if their performance is bad. And this referee, Mr. Joey Dickerson, his performance was bad. And not only that, but we talked about it on Gartas FC last night. Where was the VAR? The VAR was at the bar. They were not at the VAR, because anybody who sees that play, Chris, you saw that play, you see the replay, and right away, you're not the biggest soccer guy in the history of soccer, but even that is a red card, or at least it's something. And the fact that Sebastian Kovalchuk did not get anything at all is just like you said, it's diabolical.
Well, let's close this out. But the last comment I want to read before we move on to the next subject is David Alfonsi says they may not appeal for a red card because according to the current MLS rules, each team is allowed to make 2 unsuccessful appeals per season, including the playoffs. I don't know how accurate this is. I'm going to take your word for it, David, but I'm going to look into it as well. Trust and verify, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It does sound legitimate, but moving on. So we end up getting a rest game for Messi against Houston. Luckily, it came out to our benefit. We demolished them 4-1, let off a goal towards the end of the game. And as far as Messi resting, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I guess just so we can cover that on Messi taking a rest break for this game and quite possibly the next game against Cavalier.
Look, I want to take you back about 9-10 months ago when Messi was out for a couple months due to what happened in the Copa America. Inter Miami went on a run. This team has shown that they can win without their star player, without the GOAT. They have the firepower. They have the depth in the roster to do so. You've seen Lujan already come out and he started and he played well against the Dynamo. Obviously, we've seen Chelo. We got now Frey is going to have a red card. We might get a chance to see maybe Tyler Hall. We might get a chance to see David Ruiz at right back, or maybe even Gonzalo Lujan at right back. So look, while yes, it sucks that Frey got a red and that they might not appeal, it also gives Mascherano a chance to see what other pieces he has extremely early on in the season. Let's not forget, guys, that it's a 34-game season, and we proved it last year that it really does not matter if you win the Supporters' Shield, because anything can happen in the playoffs. You just need to qualify for the playoffs. So I think Mascherano is doing the right thing, whether Messi is banged up or not, which a lot of rumors say that he might be a little bit banged up. I think he did the right thing by resting him, by leaving him at home, and the team responded. So win-win situation for everybody here.
Well, Enrique is saying it was because it was wife's birthday. Happy wife, happy life. And she is super fine. I mean, whether she's fine or not, okay? Happy wife, happy life, okay?
Always.
And Mitch is saying, I wouldn't mind Gresso at right back, honestly. We're probably going to talk a little bit about the right back position when we get over to the CB duos, since we're going to be talking about the back line a little bit there. But for the most part, I mean, Mr. Krabs is mentioning so Messi might not go to Jamaica for the second leg. Jamaicans are going to be pissed. I mean, look, I think
who cares?
I'll be honest with you. In terms of Messi resting, I do think that he will rest this Thursday against Cavalier for the game here in Miami, and then be available to play against Charlotte, because Charlotte is a pretty stout opponent. And I do think, and like we talked about in the Spanish show, for those of you that speak Duolingos, go to Las Garzas, check us out there. And if you haven't, subscribe and like the video and all that good stuff.
Even if you don't speak Spanish, subscribe and tune in, because we do a little bit of Spanglish on the show. So
yes. Now, I do think he's going to go to Jamaica. I do think he's going to go to Jamaica for the second leg, and this is why I don't think he's going to play the first leg, because if we don't have such a great outing, then at least he can put his big boy pants on and do what it takes to get us to the next round after playing in Jamaica. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just I mean, just to echo my comment and just repeat it. Who cares? Who cares if he doesn't play? It's not Inter Miami's problem. It's not Mascherano's problem. It's not Jorge Mas's problem. It's nobody's problem. If he doesn't play, people shouldn't get pissed off. It's crazy. Like I compare this, and I think we talked about this on a prior show. I compare it to like the 2012, 2013 Heat. If LeBron and Wade were coming to play you and you were the Lakers or you're the Clippers, or it doesn't really matter, but LeBron and Wade are out, you're like, oh crap, I spent a lot of money on this game. I get it. You spent a lot of money, but the fan inside you has got to be excited because that means that your team has a chance to win. So I'm sorry, all these people who cry about Messi not being there. Oh my God, my tickets. Number one, blame your own owner because he's the one, or she. I don't know if it's all male owners in the MLS, but he or she is the one that's upcharging you. Don't blame Miami. Don't blame Messi. It's not his problem. The guy's looking out for himself, and Inter Miami is looking out for one, and that's all that has to happen.
Well, and Gus is asking me, so Chris, you prefer to rest at my home and then go to play to a shit field in Jamaica? Listen, I want Messi to play every game he can possibly play, bar none. Okay, if you're gonna rest, then I would prefer that he would rest for the early games in the MLS season versus resting in a tournament where we can win a trophy that we have had the red carpet plotted out for us. Now, this is against Cavaliers, so everybody is sort of overreaching in terms of thinking that the expectation is we're going to dust them. And it could be it. But at the same time, I don't want to overlook this opponent either, because anything can really happen. I mean, we thought we were going to dust Atlanta. We got destroyed. No, I don't want to say destroyed, but we got beat in a series against the worst team that made it in the Eastern Conference. So
Atlanta is a little bit different than Cavalier, although
absolutely
in a way, I agree with you, Chris. I don't think that this team should be overlooking the Jamaican champions. Yes, they're not the strongest team, but in soccer, you can never overlook your opponent because look, in any given, and not to take from any given Sunday, but in any given game, you know, you can have a team who is lesser than the other team, who's not as skillful, who doesn't have better players, but they play good defense and they get the shots blocked that they need to get blocked and they can get a goal and anything can happen. Now, lucky enough for Inter Miami, this is a home and home. So they have two legs. So if they royally screw it up in leg one, they'll have a second leg. But my gut feeling says that they'll take care of business in leg number one, and leg number two will be nothing more than a glorified friendly. Yeah.
Well, talking about legs here, there's two pairs of new legs that can possibly join us right here. Baltasar Rodriguez and Alan Obando. Now, when I saw that these were going to be subjects in the show today, I'm not a big fan because number one, I'm done with getting people. I think we're super good right now. Two, I mean, I feel a little indifferent about Baltasar. I don't mind Alan Obando because we do need assistance at the striker position. But Baltasar Rodriguez, I don't want another midfielder. I don't. We have way more than enough midfielders at this moment. And Baltasar Rodriguez, I'm not really interested in him. But there's so many rumors that are swirling. There's been rumors swirling these two names. Some people have been claiming that they're going to be here. Some people claiming that they're coming soon. I don't even know what to think anymore about these two names. Baltasar Rodriguez has been rumored recently. And again, this is rumors, nothing confirmed, but the rumors seem to be steaming up a little bit. What's your outlook on these two players, Solana?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to remind all the followers that I was one of the first ones to break the news on both of these players, Baltasar Rodriguez and Alan Obando, coming to Inter Miami. I don't retweet or use other folks' tweets to spread my news. So I just want to make that clear, unlike other folks in the media down here in South Florida. So I'm super excited about Baltasar Rodriguez. And Chris, I'm going to have you super excited within the next 2 minutes. This guy, to me, in my opinion, could be better than Telasco Segovia. And
what?
Absolutely. I've seen the highlights. I've seen what he can do. I've watched his games for over a year now. I went back and I watched Racing games for over the last year. Not every game, obviously, but I watched games that he played in, and this kid is an absolute difference maker. Now, if you have Messi who goes down, if you have Suarez who needs rest, you can move Allende to the 9. You can have Fafa when he's recovered at the 9. You can bring Baltasar in to start at right wing. He can play left wing. He can play in the middle. He is so multifunctional, Chris, that this guy is going to be one to watch, and he's going to surprise the heck out of you. I promise you, if he comes, which I reported he was coming, he's going to be one of the top signings.
Well, and Amanda's saying, I'm not a fan of new people. I'm not. Okay. No new friends. No new friends. Okay.
That's because Taylor's gone if Baltasar comes.
Well, absolutely. Listen, absolutely. If he comes, then we're going to see Taylor out, where we might see Gressel out. I mean, hopefully not. But okay, Hash is asking me a question. Like, if this is a easy question to answer, I don't feel like it's that easy to answer in terms of just outright saying yes, or no, right? Hash is asking, do you trust Ruiz and Kramaki, Chris? We can get another midfielder. Yes. Look, we can. Gus is saying if we have the space in the roster, why not? Yeah, I'm not saying that we can't do it. But what I'm saying is it wrong for me to trust David Ruiz and Kramaski? And those aren't even like the primary people that are going to be starting. They're not taking up a lot of minutes. Yeah, I don't know.
This is a guy who, for example, last game you had Benjamin Kremaski start at right wing. You have Baltasar Rodriguez. He's most likely starting at right wing, and Benja's coming off the bench. What Baltasar gives you is a lot more creativity than what Benja gives you. And he also gives you the same motor that Benja's going to give you. He's got that same motor as a young player. He runs a lot. And then just to clear something over, Mr. Krabs, I'm not putting down the Venezuelan. I think Velasco, and I said it on 560 when I was on there a couple weeks ago before the season began, I thought he was going to be the premier signing for this team this season. But if Baltasar Rodriguez comes, I put him right up there as 1A and 1B with Velasco. So I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he has a chance to outshine what Velasco has done so far.
And the player that I'm really interested in out of the two is Alan Obando, for the simple fact that we do need depth at the striker position. Now, we've all seen Allende and the way that he performs. The big body, he fights for position. He's very good with the ball at his feet, can handle the rock. I don't want to say that we have our backup, because if he's playing 70 minutes, I don't want him to play the last 20 when Luis Suarez comes off, if that's the case, because he's going to be tired too. So yeah, of course I would love a backup, like a solid striker that's going to come in fresh and make a complete bigger difference. But at the same time, like, how much are these guys going to cost? Right? These rumors have been swirling for so long, right?
They're not going to cost you anything, Chris, because Baltasar Rodriguez is coming on a loan deal through the end of December of this year. Allende is also on a loan deal, so he's not costing you anything. And Alan Obando was purchased by the Atletico de Madrid group, and he's coming on a loan deal as well. So he's not going to cost you anything either. So you're basically getting these guys for free to kind of see if they can ball out or not, essentially.
Yeah, Hash is confirming it with you, saying both are on a loan. And Gus is asking, are you paying? I thought the same thing, Gus. I mean, just out of not knowing. But
technically you are, Chris. Your season tickets.
yeah, my season tickets, exactly. But if they are coming on a loan, great, sure. And look, we do need depth pieces. I'm not telling you that we don't need depth pieces, but what I do think is that we do need depth pieces up front at the striker position more so than in the midfield. Now, I don't know if you have any other opinions on those two before we get to the center back duo, because that's where we have some pretty hefty depth as well. So
absolutely, we can get into the CB duo. The only thing I have to say about Obando is that although he didn't see, let's say, a lot of significant playing time with Barcelona Sporting Club in Ecuador, I can tell you the folks that I've spoken to who are very close to the team are very upset that he's leaving. They feel like he's one of the gems of their young divisions. And so that really gets me excited for him to come here, because I think he's going to fit in with the Mascherano tactics of high press. And when Suarez comes out, you're going to be able to have a young guy who's got a big physical build to be in there and high press against those tired defenders.
Now, this is a scary comment right here before we get to the CB duos. Skrill is saying Gressel is cooked. Everybody's been talking about Gressel being cooked because of the simple fact that he can be moved and he has value still at his sort of tenure in the game, right? He's still young. He could still offer something to other teams. I'm pretty sure half the MLS would be interested in a player like Gressel. Man, it sucks to see him go if that's the case, because the pivotal presence that he brought when Messi was out last season was amazing. Now, can we get sort of the same thing, if not somewhat similar with Segovia? Possibly. And it's from a different angle, right? You have Gressel who works it out from the outside. You have Telasco Segovia, who's a little bit more creative. He can be able to work it through the inside. He can navigate around players a little bit better. So it's just a little bit of a difference in terms of the gameplay, but it would be a shame to see someone that can be of importance in the attack on the outside leaving the team. So.
Yeah, but just like Gus says, you didn't have the pieces that you had now. So, for example, last year you didn't have an Allende, you didn't have possibly a Baltasar Rodriguez, so you were kind of forced to play Gressel on that right wing when Messi was out. Did he do well? Absolutely. But now you have better depth pieces in there. So Gressel becomes expendable, and you can the issue with Gressel, and I saw Amanda was asking in the chat, do we know where he's going? The issue with Gressel is nobody wants to pay his salary. So wherever he goes, Inter Miami is going to be responsible for paying most of his salary, which hurts the cap, and that's not what Inter Miami wants. So that's probably why we've been waiting so long to hear something about Gressel leaving, although we know that he spoke in his podcast and he said that everything's okay. He has a great relationship with the owners. But look, while he filled in great, I think his time in the pink and black, is over, and he should move on to a new team.
Now, let's talk about the center back duo position right here. Okay, because this is something that's a little meaty to talk about. I'm going to bring up the starting lineup of the last game where we had Allen and Lujan playing the center back position. And then the game before that, we had Falcon and Aviles playing the center back position. Right. And I'm just looking at different combos here. Another with Allen and Aviles. Right. So you have a couple different options where we've played different sets of center backs. Here we have, like I said, Allen and Aviles, Falcon Aviles. We had Allen and Lujan. My whole issue is Lujan, from what I remember, was projected to be this right back replacement for Wagon. Now that people are starting to see, especially the team, how effective Ian Frey is out the right back position, then at this point, it's Frey's position to lose, hopefully, right? But he's obviously got a red card at this very moment. But we do have the center back position that feels like it's a little solidified. We still haven't even talked about David Martinez. Now, if we're talking about center back duos, before I tell you mine, who do you think would be the best suited center back duo? And for those of you in the chat, please chime in. Let us know who you would pick as the center back duo to represent the team on a consistent basis. Go ahead, Solana.
I mean, so first off, I just want to commend the job that Noah Allen has done this season, and even last season towards the end, where Tata Martino gave him the confidence to play that left center back position. And there was a lot of folks who at the beginning were confused. He's too short. He doesn't have the right skill set to be there, but he's proven a lot of those people wrong. And he solidified himself as one of the center backs in this Inter Miami squad. Now, if I'm playing a final tomorrow, the two center backs that I'm going with are Maximiliano Falcon and Toto Aviles. Why? I think Maximiliano Falcon gives you exactly what you need in that back in that center back position. He gives you that garra that you need from a center back, that scrappiness. And I think he can do a good job of keeping Toto Aviles in line, because they're both kind of crazy eye players. They do some crazy things, but I think that Falcon can do a good job of kind of holding him in. So I really liked how they played against Kansas City. I think they need some more time together. But like somebody said in the chat, Noah Allen almost fits with absolutely everybody. So Noah Allen to me is like my 1B option there to replace one of those two guys and have him in the starting lineup. Little by little, he's growing on me. And I don't want to say I was one of the ones that was rooting for him from the beginning.
I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people agreeing with you. I mean, Jack Cart's saying Falcon and Aviles.
I gotta take off the glasses so I can actually see these people agreeing with me.
Yeah, no, for sure. You got Soccer Daddy, Falcon and Aviles. You got Lewis saying Falcon and Allen. We got Upcode saying Falcon Aviles for CONCACAF. We got Steven saying Falcon and Allen, and then Gus saying Falcon and Aviles. We're gonna get to Redondo. You don't worry about a thing, Judas. We're gonna get there eventually. And then Jake is summing it up. Martinez equals liability. There's a lot of people saying, and look at this, Timothy saying Martinez equals injury prone. Thomas saying Martinez makes the same mistakes, and Skrilla saying I don't trust Martinez. So I think it's clear to say that Martinez is not making the top, not even 3 in terms of the duo.
Martinez is out in June anyways, because if I'm not mistaken, his loan deal that we have him on ends in June. So it might make most sense for him to be the third left back, the third left center back there, because he's going to be gone. I'd rather Noah Allen get those minutes than somebody who's potentially going to leave in the summer.
Now, for me personally, I feel like Lujan is not part of the conversation at this moment. He just hasn't shown enough to me and to a lot of fans. I feel like a lot of fans are not sold on him just yet, especially as a center back. And again, there's more questions than answers surrounding Lujan. Is he supposed to be right back? Is he supposed to be backup right back? Is he supposed to fill in as a center back? What's going on there? Now with Ian Frey making it a dust up in a competition, Lujan isn't even in the stratosphere of even competing for the right back position. For me, it's a 3-way race. You got Noah Allen, you got Maximiliano Falcon, and you got Toto Aviles. Toto Aviles, to me, for better or for worse, regardless of what people think of his play and the way that he plays, his aggressiveness, listen, the type of aggressiveness that he has is what you want out of your center back, regardless of how many cards it's coming with. And the fact that he's been consistent as a center back for this team, it strikes somewhere where it's comforting to be able to see that consistency, okay? Because take away some of the cards, he would have played in a lot more games, would have gotten a lot more repetitions, and would have been a little bit more effective as well. I think the last space is fought between Falcon and Noah Allen, and just for the sake of seeing more of him, I'm going to go with Noah Allen and Aviles. That, to me, is probably the center back pairing that I would go with, especially Noah Allen, that he's left-footed, and Mascherano, as you could tell, likes to play left-footed center backs at the left center back position. So to me, I would go with Noah Allen. I mean, Danny and I were singing his praises from the beginning of the season that he should be starting at the left center back position. Bigote's telling me to get out. No, Bigote, you get out. Okay, he's starting in my book, in my roster book. He's starting.
Look, and Judas says Falcon literally made a boneheaded tackle last game. I was a defender for most of my life, at least most of my adult life. I played center mid when I was younger. Center backs are always going to make boneheaded tackles. It's part of the game. It's where you make those boneheaded tackles and how you make them so that you don't get those cards. Now, I think that's what Toto Aviles needs a little bit more training on. He needs to understand how to fall to the ground. He needs to understand how to slide tackle, possibly how not to let the forward pass him, and then he's forced to slide tackle him. So those are some of the let's say the tactical things that he needs to look for in his game. Look, man.
Look at Mike with the notes. Says the hate for Toto is weird because everyone loved LGP and Figal, and those two were assassins. Methus is saying Aviles needs to go. I mean, Ace is saying let's take this step by step. Am I wrong? Are people really not on the Aviles train here?
I guess not. And I don't understand why. I mean, I think he's a good center back for the MLS. Yeah. Does he make mistakes? Of course. But so does every other 19, 20-year-old. Look, when Noah Allen first started at left back for Phil Neville, he made tons of mistakes. But look at him now. He's gotten his playing time. He's got the confidence. He's got his coach's backing, and he's playing fantastic. So for the folks that are saying that Toto needs to go, guys, come on, let's be a little bit more realistic.
And look, David Alfonso says, Chris, I like your confidence and support for the homegrowns. Look, in my opinion, and it's something bothersome when a lot of people say that we're bought, not built. And the fact that we have so many people, so many players, especially homegrowns and draft picks that have not only played decent minutes, but significant minutes at times when it was unexpected and made a difference. That to me is what screams positivity, especially in our future. They're making an impact in our present with the kind of players that we have right now. It's amazing. And Rick A is saying, speaking of steps, step one, like the video, you heathens. Guys, take the thumb. It's free 99. Like the video, please. Just scroll up a little bit. Press that little thumbs up if you can. And Mike V is saying, Toto in, hashtag Rick out. Oh, what a! I mean, you guys are crazy. I don't know, man. I don't understand where the veracity of this Toto out is coming from.
Me either, but I'm ready to get into another veracity, and I know it's not on the list, but you promised that we were going to talk about it, and that's Bright and Redondo. I want to know what you think about the Bright and Redondo, especially because Mr. Krabs over here is dying to talk about Yannick Bright. So I know, Chris, I know I don't even have to ask you because I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways. So you've seen Redondo in a couple of games, a lot of games in the preseason. Obviously, Yannick Bright was out because he had that leg issue. He comes back against Houston, and I thought he played fantastic. Now going into the Cavalier game on Thursday, you are Mascherano. What do? Do you go back to Redondo, or do you stick with Bright, who played a really good game against the Houston Dynamo?
It's such a weird thing, right? Because like Redondo, for me, he has such a higher ceiling. For me, the expectations out of Redondo are outstanding. His ceiling is super high, and we're expecting him to be better than Bright just because of the projection, right? His father, he's Argentine. He plays very well on both sides. He plays very well defensively. He can handle the ball, very patient, good passer. But the issue here is that Bright, since he's been given the opportunity, and not really given the opportunity, since the opportunity fell on his lap of playing for the simple fact of necessity, because Redondo went down last season, he took that and ran with it. And he hasn't let go of it. And then the beginning of this season, he plays well, gets sliced on his leg or whatever it is, allegedly, and then comes back. And this last game, to me, he played phenomenal. Other people out there on Twitter or whatever it is are saying that he played awful. What are you guys looking at? You guys are watching this game blindly, not watching anything. If you say that Bright played awful last game, you deserve both of these right here. There's no way. And so to me, when it comes to Redondo, the issue is that he comes onto the game and he doesn't look great. And he has very little flexibility in terms of earning that position. The only thing that's like really giving him an opportunity is the fact that Bright plays so aggressive that he has to come off before 80, 90 minutes. Because for sure he's going to get a red.
Absolutely. And look, I agree with you, Chris. I think that Yannick Bright should get the start on Thursday over Redondo.
Yes.
I also agree with some of the comments in the chat talking about how maybe it should be on a game-to-game basis, depending on who you play against heavy possession sides. You would want Bright, who gives you more of a defensive presence, maybe against sides who allow you to have the ball. You put Redondo in because he might be a little bit better on the ball. It could be something like that. I think both need to get playing time. I agree with Gus that this is a business and that they paid a lot of money for him. But just like Gus says, at the end of the day, it's a business and they want to win. So if Bright gives you the best option to win, I think Mascherano, and that's what we're going to get into next, I think Mascherano has to play the player who's playing best right now.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like I said, look, and Soccer Daddy is saying Redondo away game, Bright home game. Mike be saying I play against Cavalier here, and Redondo over there. I mean, look, I agree with it, and I do agree with a lot of people when they say it does depend on the matchup. And you brought this up also in other shows here and in the Spanish show. It does depend on the matchup. It depends on the team that we're playing, and I do think that at the end, that Redondo is going to end his tenure here looking better than Bright would. But at this very moment, you're asking me now, Bright has completely won that position outright. Like, you gotta, I imagine that Mascherano is in a room with Redondo and Redondo's asking for minutes, and Mascherano's just looking at him like, I can't do nothing, bro. This guy Bright is killing you out here. Like, that's what's happening in the meetings.
But
right?
Also, I think so, but I think you almost hit the nail on the head. There was such high expectations for Redondo coming in because of the high salary, just like you said, because who his father was, because he was being recruited by Real Madrid, because he played well for the U20s in Argentina. That he came in with this huge expectation, and he hasn't met that yet. Bright came in with absolutely no expectation. His expectation was on the floor. I mean, it was probably as thick as a credit card, and he literally just surprised everybody. So could it be that Bright is just playing way over what we expected his ceiling was going to be? Because we didn't know a lot about him and we expected too much from Redondo. So maybe that's why folks are down on Redondo and folks are up on Bright, because we just didn't know. Similar to what happened with Drake. Nobody knew about Drake, and he came out and he was fantastic. Everybody was loving him. But little by little, we started to see his flaws. And as we started to see his flaws, some folks like myself started to turn on him. And now we're a lot happier with Ustadi. So this could be a game-by-game, a week-by-week situation, and we're just going to have to wait and see what kind of cards Mascherano is going to play on game day.
Well, let's talk about games, game day, and grades. We're gonna talk a little bit about Mascherano and the grade. Now, for those of you in the chat, guys, again, we want to know what you think. Are you guys gonna? We're taking a dip into Danny's teacher book. And you got to give us a grade. You got to give a grade to Mascherano, A, B, C, D, or F. And it's very simple. Mascherano, he's started the season, preseason, regular season. We've won 2. We tied 1 and we won 1, right? And at this point, as far as my grade is concerned for Mascherano, just because of the lack of, seeing him often, I'm going to give him a B. I'm going to give him a solid B. I don't want to give him an A because I don't think that he's there yet, but I don't want to give him like a C or a failing grade, because so far with the personnel that he's been putting out there, I feel like he's been pretty solid in terms of like what he's putting together, the kind of strategy with Messi playing sort of a floating 10 instead of out in the right wing like Tata did. So I'm going to go with a B.
I don't know what you're expecting, Chris, out of Mascherano. I mean, I think so far, and sorry, I got to disagree with you. I think you're completely wrong about this. I got to go with the chat. I think he gets an A. I think Inter Miami hasn't lost a game since he took over. They've tied or they've won every single game. They were unfairly refereed against NYCFC. He should have had a win there. He would have started the season off with 2 wins. He got by Sporting Kansas City. So far, and I agree with Mr. Krabs that we really shouldn't be grading him. It's only been technically 3-4 games within the season. But up to now, for what he has done, I think substitutes, A, managing minutes, A, tactics, A, and I don't know what else I can grade him on, but I saw somebody talk about his emotions, A, because when we score a goal, he looks like
he's like a player.
Yeah, doesn't he? Do you see when Atletico Madrid scores how Diego Simeone goes absolutely nuts? That's kind of like Mascherano does. I love that. I love that passion from your coach. So I have to give him an A so far, but I have to agree with Mr. Krabs. I think it's too early to actually give him a grade. But if you got a gun to my head, I give him an A.
Well, and the only reason again, and look, it's fair. Can't give him a grade yet, right? He hasn't coached enough games. Like the only reason I give him the B is because number one, we're early in the season, so everybody is feeling, I guess, up to par. We don't have too many injuries hitting us, and that's another thing. Fafa's out. Like we do have a couple injuries, but at the same time, we do have the opportunity in terms of having depth in a lot of the major pieces. And Luis Suarez has been doing pretty fair. He's been doing pretty well with him holding down the striker position. He's navigated the goalie madness perfectly. As far as like the substitutions are concerned, his substitutions have been good, but I want to see like a good 7 games worth of regular season coaching in order to give him a fair assessment and to give him the solid A that I think he does deserve. I do think that he's deserving, and I'll tell you this much, me being one of them, I was one of the people that the moment I heard of this guy coming over, I'm like, what? We're going to replace Tata for this guy? This guy, who the hell's this guy? And he has blown me away in terms of what I perceived him to be in the beginning of the season. So giving him a B at this point, to me, I think it's fair just with the limited time that we have, the sample size. But I do think that he's going to get to a point, depending on how the season goes, that he's going to get an A. No doubt about it.
Well, Chris, I was always told that you start with an A and that you have to keep it. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, then he started with an A and he's keeping it so far because he's keeping the team winning, and other than the injuries, the team looks pretty decent playing out there. I mean, it's not suffering like how it was last year with Tata, where we would go 40, 50, 60 minutes, 0-0, and you were thinking, oh, when are we going to get this goal? And then when we finally got the goal, it was like, okay, we know we're going to give one up. Or you knew you were going to give one up in the first half. It's not like that anymore. You feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more calm with the back line. And I think that goes to show, what the coach has done with this team so far.
Well, I want to end this on a very nice, funny note. Mike V says Mascherano has the benefit of coming in after a disaster of a bum coach. He's like the first girl you bring home after dating La Toxica for 4 years. That's perfect right there. That sums it up right there, Mike V. I mean, Mascherano does have that benefit for sure. Final thoughts before we ride out into the sunset, Solana.
Always glad to be on with you. I would have loved to know what Danny would have graded Mascherano, only because he's the real teacher here, and he probably has a book written down with all the different plays and substitutions in his little grading manual. So I would have loved to see his breakdown. But other than that, thank you for everybody in the chat. It's been fun as always. Thank you to you, Chris. And I mean, I'm excited, man. The last Batter Herons, hopefully before I go to Uruguay. The next time I see you guys, I will be doing the show live from Punta del Este.
Nice. That's going to be good. Tune into that, guys. But before we get to that show, and Enrique is saying Danny grades F. He does not like anything. Perfect comment. Dime of the day. Okay. And the dude Aviles saying, please like, much appreciated, guys. For those of you listening on audio, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It was a blast today. We were able to talk a little bit about the Herons and especially before we get into playing against Cavalier this Thursday. So it's going to be a fun time. For those of you that are still listening, check us out in about 10 minutes. We're going to be doing the Battered MLS channel, the Battered MLS show. So check us out on that channel. And for those of you that are still with us, please don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends that there's an Inter Miami show that does a couple of cool, fun things. And we put glasses on and we got notes sometimes as well. Okay, guys. So until the next one, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one.
Go to the game.